of them, 23-year-old Noel Patterson. Head of the centre is Robert Reynolds.
It really is an amazing ability that he has. And this is exceedingly unusual when measured against any other area of his social skills or social functioning, because it's so far in advance of anything else he can do.
Do you remember what you're doing?
Yes. Scarf.
A scarf. Who's it for?
Shop.
We'll put it in the shop, shall we?
Yes.
See if we can sell it.
Yes, please.
That'll be nice.
Officially, Noel Patterson has an IQ of 60, a mental age of 8, and he tends to be treated as such.
Light blue.
Dark blue. White stripes.
Well done.
Noel has been diagnosed as autistic. That means, in addition to his speech and communication defects, he has severe problems of comprehension and a lack of awareness of others. Often, he's shuttled. He needs almost constant care and supervision, and yet the person who can hardly wield a saw can do this.
Our understanding is that it's totally a memorizing and recall process. There are still some puzzling areas. How does he learn where all the notes are on the piano and on the guitar? He appears to have instant recognition of note pitch and value, so that if he hears a tune, he will replay that tune in exactly the same key without having to test it out.
Because he's not capable of reading music, he learns all of it by ear. Given his handicap, Noel's obviously extraordinary, but how does he rate to a professional? We asked Anthony Hopkins, the musician and composer, to give an expert opinion of Noel's musicianship.
Well, I think that's a very hard piece. In fact, I've always balked at learning it. But Noel's performance, considering that it's about grade 6 at the very least, and possibly more, is really quite impressive. I mean, it's not a very musical performance, and I can't say that there's much of himself involved in it. But the way he actually gets round the prelude is quite impressive, because it is very awkward. It's got difficult corners on the keyboard, and he copes with the different modulations and so forth very, very, very soundly.
But what about Noel's ability to memorize music? We asked Anthony Hopkins to compose a brand new piece for Noel to learn and play. He recorded the piece on tape, and we played it to Noel in the way he often learns music, in short chunks. This was his very first attempt. Now, just how good was that? We asked Catherine Johnson, a bank clerk of the same musical grade as Noel, to try learning the piece, like Noel, by ear. Noel had only to hear the piece 3 times to produce an almost carbon copy performance.
I really was impressed. I think that to hear the tune itself is not so hard. You know, the tune's fairly catchy, and it has much the same shape all the way through from the point of view of the rhythm. But to hear it in depth, to be able to put the right harmonies underneath was, I thought, really impressive. Particularly, there's one little twist I put in the middle. I won't say it was a trick, but I didn't expect him to get it right, this bit. And it's the sort of thing that could stop someone in their tracks, but actually got that right first time. And the other harmony I didn't expect him to get comes at the climax of the tune, when it gets to this chord. And I put in what we call a ninth, which is this extra note, that one there. And I didn't think he would get that, but he spotted it the very first time. What he did was a pretty well exact, shall we say about 78% accurate transcription of what I had done. And from that point of view, it really was remarkable.
For the psychologists, talents like Noel's are a real puzzle. Dr. O'Connor.
His capacity to remember music was surprising, would be a mild word to use, against the background of the fact that he can hardly remember a complicated sentence in English. And our favourite guess at the moment is that these talents are independent of intelligence, because, for example, in the case of Noel Patterson, his talent exists at a level which we think might resemble that of Mozart, as far as musical memory is concerned, but his intelligence is obviously much lower. So we do say that these abilities might seem to be intelligence independent.
Most neurologists and neuropsychologists we have talked to really cannot account for this phenomenon at all, because if one has a brain which is overall damaged, then a specific or a small area of that brain which has remained intact is something which neurologists won't conceive. It shouldn't happen. The idiot savant, according to neurologists, shouldn't exist.
A picnic lunch for a Somerset family. 2 daughters and a 28-year-old son who, like Noel Patterson, is autistic. David Kidd's handicaps are typical: withdrawn, a low IQ, severe speech and communication problems. But he has one extraordinary talent.
Come on, Sarah, let's have some dates. How about Grandad's birthday? 30th of March, 1912.
A Saturday.
Saturday?
It is.
What about Grandpa? 25th of July, 1880.
It'll be a Saturday as well.
Right. The 30th of March, 1933.
It'll be a Thursday.
Right. I think he was about 12 when it happened. He was at his first little autistic unit then. He came to me one day and he asked me about this table mat. about the date on it and said, was it March? Because it's in French. So I said yes. And so he said, well, that was whatever it was, a Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember what he said now. Didn't really believe him. So I couldn't prove that the original date wasn't right, but it's worked out since that he seems to be right every time.
David agreed to let us test him under laboratory conditions. What was the 31st of August, 1985?
It's Saturday.
That's absolutely right. Let's try another. The 28th of March, 1983.
Saturday, Monday.
The 28th of March, 1983 was indeed a Monday. The 29th of March, 1987.
It will be a Sunday.
That's also correct. If you don't believe us, have a look for yourselves. The 17th of December, 1974.
It was a Tuesday.
The 10th of June, 1917.
It was a Sunday.
The 1st of March, 2044.
It will be a Tuesday.
There aren't any calendars that far ahead, but it's again absolutely correct.
Don't know how he does it. He can't tell you how he does it. He just says, I know. So we just don't know how, whether it's memory. And if he's memorised it, where's he memorised it from? He's got no copy of these dates anywhere. He's no list or anything anywhere. I don't know how he does it.
Dr. Bernard Yallop is a mathematician from the Greenwich Royal Observatory. One of his areas of expertise is the calendar. We wanted him to show us what system David might be using to work out the day of the week. It appears there are basically two methods. One was developed 100 years ago by a Captain Herschel. It's a complex four-part diagram cross-referencing the day, date, month and year. The other method is mathematical. Some clever chap worked out that each element of the calendar can be given different numerical values. In the months, for example, January and October are 1, May 2, and August 3. The same thing for the years. Mathematically, it only involves simple arithmetic. But to do it in your head, you've got to remember all those different values. Dr. Yallop let us test him out on the system, but not in his head. OK, the 29th of March, 1987.
Well, 29th of March. The 29th has a correction of 1. March has a correction of 4, and 4 and 1 is 5. What was the year?
1987.
1987 has a correction of 3, so that's a total of 8. Subtract 7 leaves 1. It was a Sunday.
Absolutely correct. But let's compare him with David Kidd. The 17th of December, 1974.
It was a Tuesday.
17 has a correction 3. December has a correction 6. That's